Hey, welcome back, everyone, to the Level Up podcast, where Greg Harrelson, my partner, and I are going to talk to a great team out of Oahu, Hawaii. So we have got today Attilio and Adrienne, who are Team Lally out of Oahu, and one of the top teams in the Hawaii, California area. So welcome back to the show, and looking forward to getting some great information from you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Yeah. So if you kind of want to, just for those of you that are listening that don't know who you guys are, just kind of give us a little rundown of time in business and what you guys have been doing up to this point.
Yeah, so I'll cover with what we covered with you before we got on is just our org chart. We've got 2 buyer agents, 2 listing partners, one that does both, and then we've got an in-house listing manager, transaction coordinator, a media guy, runs around putting up signs, lock boxes, drone footage, and all of that. And then we've got about 5 or 6 virtual assistants out of the Philippines supporting us. Okay. So leverage, that's the leverage.
You missed a few people. We have.
That's okay. Go ahead, help me.
We have 5 ISAs right now that are, and of the 5, 4 of them are going to be transitioning back into the agent world.
And you know what we're doing? We're giving them the Greg Harrelson for the first 90 days.
Oh gosh, I wonder what that means.
I'll tell you, it's good news. What it means, and I'm telling you, Jeb Blunt wrote a book called Fanatical Prospecting, and you know what? Greg Harrelson could have written that book. But he starts off with, how do you get a salesperson to stop working? Put a phone in front of them. And so it's the #1 challenge that we have with agents. And so I'm telling you, Greg, I've watched your office tour video that you did with Frank. The thing's about an hour long. I've watched it 10 times. Honestly, not joking. I watched it. And so first 90 days is we're paying you a base and giving you 10%. Base plus 10%. You're a W-2. Adrienne, what do we love about W-2 people?
They've got to do what we tell them to do.
Or
they're fired.
Or you're fired. I wish we could do that with agents, but we can't because they're 1099. You know what we love about them? They're independent contractors. Yeah. You know what we hate about them? They're independent contractors. But anyway, 90 days, they're in the seat, 8:30 to 4:30, 250 dials, or 20 contacts or 2 appointments. That's it.
Yeah, fantastic. So okay. Well, let me ask a question here then. So you've got a solid team, and I as I said earlier before we hit the record button, we kind of run in very similar circles, and
yes.
I mean maybe we haven't spent a lot of one-on-one time together or face-to-face time together, I should say, but we seem to always find ourselves fairly close to each other. And so I know that you all are doing very well and have been doing well for quite a long time. You're not just a newbie to top agent status or top team. But it sounds like you're going to make a run for, taking it to another notch or taking it up another level. If you're saying you're bringing a few ISAs back into the real estate game and you're going to go W-2 with them, what are you looking to accomplish, say, in the next year or 5 years? Do you have a 12-month, a 5-year plan? What's on y'all's minds? Where are you going here?
Well, about 2 years ago, we decided to get real intentional about this ISA model. Okay. And we took some time to really research and study it. And a little over a year ago, we actually implemented it. And what they say is that it can be the most
disruptive.
It can change your business the most, like in a good way. And but basically after we implemented it, most of our sales agents left. Like 10 of the 12 agents gone.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a cliffhanger, right? And what happened? I can't fathom that, but I'm so happy you bring it up, because I think ISA is such a sexy subject that nobody understands.
Yeah, I think a lot of people.
It was difficult. Yeah, very difficult to implement.
Well, I think a lot of agents think that and don't get us wrong, you think the ISA is the panacea, that's going to radically change your team. No, it's going to take a lot of work. And backing up a little bit, what you all heard as far as where we're at today, 12 years. 12 years. When I started in this business, my butt was huge, and I've worked it down to the skinny butt it is today because I worked my butt off, both of us. And so that sharing with you that so many agents leaving, I heard this from John Maxwell. If we share with you our successes, we are impressing you. If we share with you our failures, we're impacting you. And we'd rather impact with you and be vulnerable with you all our listeners here on this podcast, and share with you our failures. And so what that made us realize is that our agents, because we were generating so many leads, they were pretty much just going after the low-hanging fruit. And when you funnel everything now through an ISA team where we know exactly what's happening with our leads, when, the how, what, when, and why, all of a sudden the tide went out and we got to see who wasn't wearing board shorts. Accountability just ratcheted it up.
Yep.
And we either some
there
of the people,
there was a lot of self deselection.
Yes.
Was what happened, and then there was a couple that were asked
not in alignment with our core values.
Yeah. Yes.
So
well, that's awesome. So I know exactly how this story is gonna play out, because what ends up happening is you create a new system, and then the people that are gonna buy in, or they leave, right? So you kind of went through that scenario, right? Now all these ISAs and all these people that you bring in the future, whatever your system is and however it evolves, all the new people that you bring in, this is their new normal.
Yes.
This is their new normal, and they're going to be all in because they're actually part of, something that's already established versus being part of some sort of disruption, And we're not talking about industry disruption. We're talking about infrastructure disruption, which is sometimes we have to all go and break what we have and rebuild it in order to really take off. So that's pretty cool. Now, are you going to have ISAs anymore, or are these ISAs going to be agents and then you're just going to manage the team a little bit differently?
No, we're always going to have an ISA model. So we've got one full-time ISA that is handling our new agent onboarding, which is 90 days in the hot seat as prospecting every day, Monday through Friday. And then don't get us wrong, I'll tell you right now, the ISA position has been the toughest position to hire, coach, and train for and keep. But the big thing is just seeking the knowledge, because as Gary Keller says, or anybody would intuitively know, there's somebody on this planet that's doing it at a high level. You just got to go talk to them. Don't reinvent the wheel. And so that's what we did. And so we're going to have a full-time ISA, but agents will go through this 90-day process, and we've committed to it because, it's a W-2. It's a base salary.
And it will determine, though, whether they're going to be successful on the team or if we're going to be in business with them after that 90 days. So
it's three things. It's three things. One, they like it. I just want to be an ICA Monday through Friday, have more control of my time. And I hate sitting open houses. Or two, I want to get in front of agents and I love sitting open houses. So you transition to a buyer agent. Or three, maybe we need to be in a new industry.
Yeah, and I can imagine that that those ISAs that you're bringing on to the agent role now are going to be really strong, because they saw the core of not only what they need to do to generate business and hand the leads off, but they also saw what doesn't work. So now they're coming with that skill set, and that'll probably be the foundation of what they do. So I imagine they're going to be real strong.
Yeah. No, it's like a cross-country team where the old team, the existing team players, doing a 7-minute mile. And then we bring on this new group, we train them, take them through a different process, and tell them that the team standard is now a 5-minute mile. And they do 5-minute miles every day. And then we got to quarantine them a little bit, because then they run into the existing team members and I'm like, yeah, how was your 5-minute mile today? 5-minute mile? I do a 7-minute mile. What? You do a 7-minute mile? I do a 5-minute mile. You're not doing a 5-minute mile? The new standard.
And here's something interesting. We had a previous team member who was with us for 3 years. He left the team for about 1.5 years. A seasoned agent. And, we let him know, yes, you can come back on. You're going through this ISA role for the, first 90 days. And yeah, I mean, he's been coming into the office and making the calls, and we're retraining those muscles.
I tell you, there's nothing more than I loved hearing people making calls. That's like, okay, good. Now we're really doing a good business. We're willing to make calls. I want to talk about something, and I know that you all probably want to talk about this also. And it's just so different than all the podcasts that are out there and all the things that are discussed. And that's, I want to talk with you and ask you some questions and maybe just collaborate on a conversation on, what it's really taking in today's world to really perform at a high level. Because some of the things that we know, it's like, look, we all know if we don't know our scripts, we all have the ability to learn scripts, because scripts are just out there everywhere. So scripts is always talked about, marketing strategies are always talked about. It's kind of like looking at professional athletes. Professional athletes, we always talk about, man, they got such good work ethic. They show up early, they work really hard, and that's why they perform. But they really do more than that. And I know that's something that you all like to talk about. So let's just talk about some of the non-traditional subjects or topics or things that exist that truly make a difference in one's performance.
Yeah. And
why don't you kick us off on that?
Yeah. And here's how we'll tee it up. We teach a class called 6 Personal Perspectives. And 6 personal perspectives are 6 things that top producing agents all do. It's common amongst all of them. And I'm not going to go through those 6 because that's an hour or 2 in itself. But I'm going to go with number 5. Number 5 is self-mastery. And I'll repeat that so our listeners can write that down. Self-mastery. And self-mastery isn't things external. It's not self-mastery could be, how am I running my ISA team? But it starts with you. And I don't know if it was Shakespeare or whoever said it, but know thyself, or if that's from the Bible, know thyself. Improvement and one of our bold laws is your business will grow to the extent that you do. So now we got that teed up. And we realized that it's going to be 3 areas of your life. And I'll tell you, in order of priority, number 1, what are you putting in your mouth? And I will give you 3 documentaries that literally, if you watch these, take notes and bring that information into your life, it literally will change your life. And for some of us, where we are personally with our health, change your life and or save it. Number 1, Forks Over Knives. Number 2, What the Health. And for the warriors out there, for you gladiators out there, you Spartans, the last one, Adrienne, what's that last documentary?
Game Changers.
Game Changer.
Yep.
I just watched that one.
Yeah. So, and by the way, anything we're sharing with you guys, you listeners out there, this is not, mind-bending information here. We're just reminding you of what you already know or couldn't Google in half a second. But that's the key to success, right? Is being reminded. That's our responsibility.
And I want to chime in on that. So when we get together, and if we're providing the food for our team, yes, we always have plant-based. So no animal products. Yep.
We pay plant-based. If you all bring in your lunch, no, there's no meat shaming or non-plant-based shaming at our office. I look at Kaylee with his McDonald's bag and I just yell out, "Dead man walking." No, I'm just kidding. I don't do that.
So self-mastery.
Yeah.
Number 1, what you put in your mouth.
That's it. Those 3 documentaries.
Got it. So I'm assuming, but I don't want to make assumptions.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that the correlation or the connection between what we're talking about, self-mastery, what we put in our mouth, and our performance at the office. Can you please make a connection there for us?
I'll happily connect the dot. Number 1, your brain, which is the organ in your body that uses the most energy in your entire body, needs fuel. So if your brain is what's allowing you to memorize, internalize, and make that script real, wouldn't you want it to give it the best fuel possible? So what you put in your mouth has a direct correlation with your cognitive ability. Energy levels, when you're feeling down, there's $1 billion industry, that 3-hour energy drink at that second part of the day. First of all, I tell people, go take a nap. Go in your car, take a 20-minute nap. You'd be surprised. and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Greg, is your energy levels on the phone, can it come through the phone, your energy level?
Yes, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make a difference in your ability to connect with people and get them to want to do business with you?
100%.
Yep.
It impacts rapport.
Yeah. So, I mean, Adrienne, unless you got something else you want to add to the connecting of the dots of what goes in our mouth and the results we're getting in our business.
Got it.
No.
Okay.
What's two then? What's the next self-mastery?
So Adrienne, I'm gonna let Adrienne talk to you about this. And
Okay.
Here's what I'll tell you about Adrienne. As a child, she was, for those of you in gymnastics, you know what I mean by this, but she was a level 10 category as far as gymnast. She was literally training for the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
So me partnering up with Adrienne taught me the value of being in shape and having coaches, physical, coaches to help you get better. But as far as working out, I'll just do a real quick thing and then I'll let Adrienne take it from here. You got to work out every day. And it doesn't have to be like you're training for the marathon, just a little bit. Do 10 push-ups, 10 pull-ups, start off small. And if you need an idea of how exercise and diet come into play, there's a new diet sweeping the nation. It's guaranteed results. You guys ready for it? It's called Eat Less and Exercise More. Not sure if you've heard about it. It's kind of crazy, but I'll say it again. Eat less and exercise more. If you want tips on how to do that, go to my website, getofyourbuttanddo something.com.
All right, is that really a website?
No, I should. I talk about it all the time. I should get that domain name.
Before I write that one down, I'm gonna make sure I ask. Okay, I got it. All right, so it's Brendan. Here's what I'm gathering from this relationship. By the way, I feel like he is her test rabbit. Like she's got the knowledge and then she just feeds it to him and see if he'll do it and then look at the result. Because but okay, so what is number two?
So number two is
exercise.
Exercise.
It's so important to get out and move. And like Attilio said, you don't need to be to the extreme, but go out there, take a walk, set goals, stretch. You got to get outside. Yep.
You burn more calories standing up than sitting down. Our entire office is all those up and down desks. You want to take a break, sit down. Prospect, desk come up. Your energy levels are up. You burn more calories. There is actually scientific data on this. There's a new disease getting up there with heart disease. It's called sitting disease. And that I'm not joking because you guys, with my get off your butt and do something. It's called sitting disease. Bus drivers are just internal organs, high blood pressure. It's all coming from sitting in the office because we're in this digital age where we're sitting in front of computers all day long. You got to take breaks and get up and walk around. So,
number three.
ISA, we do a 1 minute plank.
Self mastery number 3. What is that?
Number 3, sleep. Sleep.
Okay.
The World Health Organization has put that out there that the lack of sleep is a level 3 or 4 carcinogen. And what do carcinogens cause?
Cancer.
Yep.
Get some sleep. It's total horse. You know what? I'll sleep when I'm dead. No, you don't get enough sleep. You're going to die sooner is more of an accurate statement. You've got to pay attention to sleep. There are podcasts out there for 1 hour just talking about sleep strategies.
Well, how much sleep should we get? I mean, what are the studies telling us?
It varies per person. For me personally, if I sleep more than 6.5 hours, I'm groggy. My back starts hurting. I'm like a shark. I got to get up. And so it just depends on the person. Couple things. So it's got to be somewhere between 6 and 8. But anybody that tells you I can do this on 3 hours of sleep or no sleep is baloney. It's not sustainable long term.
Your body needs to recharge and rejuvenate and rebuild during those REM sleep cycles. And if you're not getting enough of those, then you're deteriorating.
Yeah.
That's so important too as a message, because I think now more than ever in the social media world, everybody's persona is trying to create this. Oh, I'm a grinder, I'm a hustler, all this stuff, and I think people sometimes make the mistake of thinking, okay, well, that just means that if I only sleep 4 or 5 hours, then I'm a grinder, and that's how I'm going to succeed. And it's almost, people see it as a badge. So I think that's a good reminder that that's part of fueling the most important tool you got, which is your brain and your body.
Ariana, I think it's Ariana Huffington. She's got that Huffington Post. She's whatever, multi-millionaire, maybe billionaire. I don't know, very successful person. She literally, because of lack of sleep, passed out, hit her head on her desk, split her head open, woke up in a pool of blood. And now she's like the biggest advocate for getting enough sleep, and does the whole talk about it and research. There's quite a few people talking about sleep, in that it's critically important. And I'll tell you, your ability to prospect, let's say it's 9 to 11 is your time block for prospecting, or, you know, you got to be in the office. I think, I don't know, your guys get in, what are they, hitting the market at 7 a.m.? I think, whatever you said, between 7 and 8. They start
getting there between 7 and 7:45. They're here.
On the phones.
8 o'clock.
Your ability, your results of your prospecting time in the morning does not start with your first cup of coffee in the morning. It starts with your sleep the night before, and your mindset. And what was the last thing that went into your brain is tumbling around in your subconscious all night long. And that's what comes up into your prefrontal cortex in the front of your brain. And that's what's running your dialogue during your prospecting time in the morning.
Got it.
So real quick before we go on, Greg, I know I'm going on a limb here, but my guess is you've got something. What do you do to load that for the next morning at night?
Well, so a couple of things. Melatonin. Adrienne, what does melatonin do?
Well, it helps you to get to sleep and to relax and get into those REM sleep cycles.
So knowing what disrupts melatonin, caffeine, drinking coffee late at night disrupts your body's. Now, I'm not going to speak to like popping, down in melatonin pills, because Adrienne and I kind of go back and forth in that. I always personally believe that the best thing for your body is what it naturally produces. Can I get an amen on that?
Amen.
So melatonin is the chemical your body produces to allow you to get into sleep and get into REM, these REM cycles through the night. And so let's talk about the things that prevent melatonin production. Any kind of blue light. On your phone, here's a quick one. There's a sunset setting, and you can have it where it turns your screen of your iPhone or whatever an orange tint, because that's what we looked at as cave people way back in the day, was the campfire. We weren't looking at digital screens, and studies have proven that when you're looking at digital screens, your iPad, TV, computer monitor, you need to stop that at least an hour or two before you go to bed, because it will disrupt melatonin production up to an hour later so if you're looking at your phone the last thing before you go to sleep, you're preventing your body from producing melatonin for an hour. So take a digital break well before you go to bed. Don't work out at night. 80-90% of multimillionaires work out in the morning. And just, you've got to have sleep strategies. Your room's got to be completely dark. They've done studies where even if they put an LED under your knee, it disrupted melatonin production, because they kind of figured out or had some correlation of photoreceptors even in your skin, not necessarily just your eyes. So all those the phones with the charger lights and all of those, cover those up. You got to have a cool 67 degrees, 70 degree temperature. So because when you're hot, you wake up. And so you've got to create all these things at the beginning of your sleep cycle to create a high probability of success. Kind of like scripts for prospecting. They go hand in hand.
Be very deliberate.
Yeah, got it. Well, my wife's going to love that. I finally got some research to turn the
air down.
The AC down.
Yeah,
Turn
exactly.
the AC down. Hibernate.
That's right. We're doing it. I'm going to have her watch this video.
And you know what? For you listeners, get the TV out of the bedroom.
There you go. What's number 4? Self-mastery number 4.
So, well, it was just those 3, what you
eat,
it's
just 3? Is that what it was?
sleep.
Okay.
4 can be mindset. If you're reading the newspaper or watching the news, stop it. There was a Bob Newhart episode, and this lady came in with all these problems, and then he listened, okay, and then he was like, stop it. That was his therapy session. She's like, just stop it? Yeah, stop it. It's all negative. It's all negative. I mean, granted, I feel for some kids that got killed in an avalanche halfway around the world. But me knowing about it in this moment isn't going to help those kids. But me being the best version of me to go out in the world so that I can write the biggest check possible to my nonprofit, that'll have a better effect on of my movement through this world, than watching the news.
So as you know, as professional real estate agents, or owners or team members, whatever, leaders, whatever we are, we're all trying to strive and do be at peak performance, and a lot of times, as I had mentioned before, we look at athletes because it's kind of easy to look at an athlete, especially at the professional level, and say, gosh, they're really performing at the highest level, whether it be Olympics or whether it be just professional sports. And they all have pre-game routines. And like you said, most pre-game routines actually start the night before.
Yes.
I was just, my daughter is playing tennis at University of Tampa. So before she, started playing tennis at Tampa, of course, she played junior tennis. And I was the one that was traveling all over the country with her while she's playing tennis. And it's like, we had these routines. Her coach had her on a routine. We knew what time she needed to go to bed based on what time she needed to get up. And what time she got up was based on it being 3 hours before match time. So if she had a match at 8, then she had to get up at 3, and that would determine what time we ate dinner and went to sleep the night before. And then there was other things. What did she do when she got up at 5 a.m.? What did she do? What did she eat? She always had to eat. She always had to warm up. Her warm up was always the same routine. And then when I would hit and warm, so she would physically warm up, stretching and things like that. Always the same routine. Then I would get on the court and warm her up on live ball. Always the same routine. Yes. We left the practice court at a certain time to get at the tournament facility at a certain time before her match. Her match is there, and then depending on what her next match is, there was a routine. Professional sports, they do this all the time. Isn't this what you just talked about?
There's
habits.
Habits. There you go. See, Adrienne and I have been in business for 12 years. We can read each other's minds. There's a book called Atomic Habits written by the author James Clear. And he calls it, what you just described is called what, Adrienne?
Habit stacking.
It's called habit stacking. And correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, habits can be positive or negative.
Sure, absolutely.
Smoking a pack of cigarettes every day, that's a habit. Mm-hmm. Drinking every day, getting wasted, that's a habit. Eating well, exercising, brushing, flossing your teeth, getting enough sleep, those are habits. What we notice is that bad habits and good habits, they all stack up. You don't get enough sleep the night before, then you blow off working out in the morning, and then you don't really prospect as well as you could during the day.
And then also having the ideal environment to achieve those great habits. Why don't you share with you what you just did to create a better habit in your life?
Oh yeah. Attilio. So I had going vulnerable, being transparent. I love watching documentaries. So like any Netflix documentary, my logarithm, boom, it's popping up in the front. And if there's 3 of them, I'll watch all 3 of them. I'm a binge watcher addict. Yeah. It's been 24 hours since I binge watched on Netflix. My name is Attilio. They should have, I'm telling you, they need AAA for Netflix people. So I said, you know what? And I kept telling Adrienne, I'm not getting enough sleep, I'm binge watching on the Netflix. So I literally took my TV. Anytime I want to take something out of my house, I don't dump it. I just put it on the sidewalk and put a sign on it that says free. And it's gone. Yeah. And so, but my neighbors, they ran into my fence and fixed it, and they were such awesome people. So I took my TV, my flat screen TV. I walked across my neighbor's yard yesterday morning. I put it in their front door, and I said, "Free, it still works." Attilio from across the street. Nice. No TV at my house. That's it. I said, I cannot.
So it has to do with the environment, right? You've got to set yourself up for success to have these positive habits.
This is what James Clear says. This is what James Clear says from Atomic Habits. Positive habits cannot exist in a negative environment.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Positive habits cannot exist in a negative environment. So I'm thinking of morning ritual. So I'm going to build a what could be a habit stacking, and you'll tell me if it's not. I request that. But habit stacking, in my mind, and what agents should consider is going to bed at a certain time during the evening. Now, I can't tell you what time that is because we're all different, right?
Yeah.
But to me, what I train the agents is this is the perfect morning routine. It's you wake up at say 4:45, 4:30. That would be a habit. And then you follow and you stack on top of that habit going and getting some exercise. Whether you're going outside your house or whether you're going to the gym. I tend to go to gyms. Right now I'm training for an Ironman, so I'm spending a lot of time outside. It's cold as crap, so I'm having to like spend some time inside when I want to be outside. But the habit of waking up at 4:30, getting to the gym or exercising at 5. Then how about stack this on top? Instead of watching TV, how about stack on listening to some sort of podcast, some sort of inspirational thing, some sort of spiritual, thing, whatever you're into, something positive. How about actually while you're exercising, make sure you're either listening to music that's getting your energy going or listen to something inspirational. Now there's another habit. Then go home. And if you have children, actually pay attention to them for a moment before they go off to school. Be present. That would be a habit. Then get your butt in the office at 7:30 to 7:45. That would be a habit. Make your first call at 8 o'clock. That would be a habit. Don't stop calling until 11. That would be a habit. And if you would stack all those habits on top of each other from 5 until 11 a.m., you'll get anything you want out of your life.
Yes.
I don't give a damn what you do the rest of the day.
Yes.
Because if you stack those habits on each other in that short period of time, life will never be the same for you.
Yes.
Well said.
Yeah, and what did I know I've heard you say this, and I've heard many people say this. Consistency will always outperform talent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll take somebody that shows up every day and works his butt off way more than somebody that's got all the skills. It's just so talented.
Yeah.
All the time. Somebody who's consistent, shows up every day. That's the tortoise always beats the hare.
Yeah. A lot of people look at us and they're like, man, you guys are freaking extreme. And I'm like, thank you. But, not extreme in a way where we don't get to sleep and all of that. I think more of the fact that we are people say that you guys are almost like a cult, with Team Lally. And I say, I was in MLM. John Maxwell says 90% of the successful people out there were in some kind of MLM in their past history because they were taught basic success principles. And my answer to, well, you guys are kind of like a cult is like, I wish we were. And you're like, what? Yeah, I wish we were, because you know why? In a cult, by the way, there's a documentary on explaining cults on Netflix. In a cult, people do exactly what you tell them to do. Yeah. Greg, do you wish everybody on your team did exactly what you told them to do?
Yes, I wish they would. I wish they would chug my Kool-Aid every day.
Yes.
and I'd wear, that's the badge that I want.
Yes.
It's like, as a leader, how did I get people, how as a leader, that is a sign of leadership, of like, if you, and you've got to be an authentic leader, right? Like so many people think that the Kool-Aid is like, it's a bad thing. Oh, well, they drink the Kool-Aid over there. I'm like, yeah, I know. I mean, the only people that say that is wrong are the leaders that can't get anybody to follow them. Yeah. But if you're a leader and you have people who follow your lead, then that's the entire meaning of them drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Changing their lives. It's about helping to change their lives. So
absolutely. We're all drinking Kool-Aid. Most of us just don't recognize it, acknowledge it. If you're like not drinking Kool-Aid, somebody's Kool-Aid, that is your Kool-Aid. Like your Kool-Aid is, I'm anti-drinking Kool-Aid. Yeah. Like it doesn't matter. Like if that is your Kool-Aid, to actually be that person that says you're not drinking Kool-Aid.
Or people say, I don't use scripts. You know what? That's a script.
That's a script.
You're saying you don't use scripts? That is a script. Your script is just in your head and you don't have it written down and you're not practicing it and improving it. Yeah. So, and number 4 is going to be mindset. And so here's what I'm going to recommend that you watch. everything and anything to do with Dr. Brene Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Brene Brown has the second most watched TED Talk right now. It's over 46 million views on it. And she talks about vulnerability as the path to courage. She's got a book called Daring Greatly, Dare to Lead. If you're a leader, you need to be reading Dare to Lead. And you need to bring her facilitators in to work with your teams on how to have genuine and authentic conversations with people within your organizations and create an environment where people can speak freely. And
feel
as a
safe.
leader,
Yep.
we love it when our team members call us on our stuff. And then they call me on stuff, and then they kind of get freaked out because I reply all. Mm-hmm. And I say, you're right, I did F that up. And I reply all to the team. And they're like, why did you do that? I didn't want to seem like I was chewing you a new one. And I'm like, chew away. Because, I mean, I know you guys know this as leaders, we are not perfect.
Yeah. It puts us on the fast track.
Yeah.
Fast track to moving forward. Fast track to taking action. You know, let's bring it on. I mean, you know, because if you delay in telling me what's going on, then that means we are delayed in moving on.
And so, yeah, one of her Rumble starters from Dr. Brene Brown, here's the question you start with, that's called the Rumble starter. You're having issues, you know, so I want more splits, or, you know, these leads sucks, or, you know, there's too much of a big of a requirement for me to do, and I don't want to do it. The question she says to ask people is, you know what's not being said here? And then just be quiet and listen. What's not being said? Because, you know, what makes up the whole person is all those 4 things we talked about: eating, sleeping, exercise, their mindset. And I'll tell you, 90% of the challenges that we might have with people on our team most likely has nothing to do with the workplace. It's something that's going on at home. And as a leader, you have an obligation to zoom into them and ask questions that are not just so business related. You know, what's going on in your life? Because we have a 17-step hiring process. Adrienne, why do we take the spouse, the significant other, to lunch with the potential candidate? Why do we go to lunch with them?
Because we can pour into them and help, you know, make these great changes for them in their lives. But if they go home and they get their feet taken out from underneath them or getting chewed out, it's just going to be counterproductive.
Yeah. We don't want crazy at home. It's really tough to overcome crazy at home. You're pouring into them all day and then they go home to crazy.
Yeah.
And so as a spouse, we have a 17-step hiring process. Step number 1 is I talk to you and I just tell you, my job is to talk you out of joining our team. One of the other steps is it's mandatory, required that you interview 3 other brokerages. 2 things happen from that. Number 1, they're going to determine that the grass is greener now instead of after 9 months of us pouring into them. And then number 2, maybe we didn't do a good enough job creating the value of wanting them to continue the process and or be a part of our deal. Maybe that's something we need to reflect on, that other brokerages might be providing a better value than we are in their initial hiring process. So
that's good stuff.
But you know, I'm giving you guys some tangible things. There's 3 things that you want to have in a team player, a leadership, vendors that you work with, somebody that you're going to marry, the kids you're going to raise. This came from a guy, I'm not sure if you heard of him. His name is Patrick Lencioni, and he wrote the book called 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. I'm being facetious because if you're up there burning a big team, you know this book or read it or own it. By the way, don't have the most intelligent bookshelf on the planet. Take those books down and read them and implement them in your lives. But he says 3 things. What are the 3 things that you want to look for in your spouse, incorporating your children, in team players, and leadership? What are the 3 things, Adrienne?
Humble, hungry, and smart.
Humble, hungry, smart. If you're humble and hungry, but you're not smart, Adrienne, do you remember what that one was? Humble, hungry, but not smart.
It's an accidental mess maker.
Accidental mess maker. If you're humble and smart, but you're not hungry, humble, smart, but not hungry.
Lovable slacker.
Lovable slacker. And then if you're hungry and smart, and by the way, this is the most dangerous one, either in leadership, team players, vendors. Hopefully it's not somebody you're putting your head down to next to the pillow in bed at night. This is the most dangerous one, the most insidious one to have on the team. if you can't change them, get rid of them. Adrienne, what's our one line tagline? Go.
Oh, go or grow.
Go. It's grow. No,
Grow
I'm sorry.
or go.
Grow.
Grow or go.
Go. And so if you're hungry and you're smart and you're not humble, what are you?
It's a skillful politician.
Skillful politician. Dr. Brene calls it, they give you the dirty yes. The dirty yes is yes.
How do I spell Brene? Dr. Brene.
Yeah, Brene, it's B-R-E-N and then E-E.
B-R?
It's like your sauce.
Yeah,
yep.
It's like Brene.
I love Brene.
I know you know the sauce.
Yeah.
And she's got a Netflix special.
Of course she does.
Yes.
Of course.
You know, I like that
and
word
our whole
three.
team has watched it.
So
okay.
3 things: the TED Talk, the Netflix special, and then
books.
she's got a podcast with Oprah Winfrey about going over her acronym called Braving, which talks about how to create trust with your agents and your clients. How to create trust.
All right, Brendan, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. That is some fantastic information. Matter of fact, I will, by this time tomorrow, I will have watched, heard, read, whatever I have to do, one of Dr. Brene's, one of the 3 things that you mentioned. So I've never heard of any of those, so I'm going to take that on myself. But I appreciate you bringing that up. And I hope the audience, appreciates that, we're really today, we really just took a little, went a different direction. And one thing that I feel is we need to have these real conversations in real estate, because look, everyone's a top producer, everyone's making billions, and most people are broke. And there's just so much crap in the industry, right? I think sometimes it's important to just back up and have real conversations on subjects and topics that are really, really going to make the big difference in your life. And when you make a big difference, I know for myself, when I got things together, or at least better, maybe never together, but when I make improvements just on the personal level, it seems to always show up in my business also. And I think that's kind of the underlying message, is that take care of some of these things. Eat less, move more, sleep more, and watch what actually happens to your business.
Yes.
Good. If there's if anybody wants to reach out to you, send you referrals, maybe even interview to be on your team, what's the best way for them to reach you all?
Well, super easy. They can just go to teamlally.com. What's that website, Adrienne?
teamlally.com.
And that's Lally. If they go there, our phone number is right there, top right of the screen. We've got our email. That would be the best way. Literally, we'd love to be blessed with any referrals. We would appreciate the opportunity to serve your clients as if they were owned, to preserve your reputation by helping any of your friends, family, or relatives in the state of Hawaii. And we have the capability of handling all islands. We have people on our team on all the islands. And if anybody just wants us to come help teach something, either via Zoom, or if you want to fly us out, we'll come too, but not like, maybe not like Omaha in January or something. No, we'll come in January too. Gotta give me a park up when you come off the airplane. We are givers gain. Givers gain. You all believe givers gain?
Yes.
So if we can come from contribution and make a difference in your life and your team members' life, give us a buzz. We'll see if it's a reasonable request, and we'll do whatever we can to make a difference.
Awesome. And Brendan, what's the best way for people to reach out to you? I know people are reaching out to you during these episodes.
Yep. Facebook Messenger is always the best way, and appreciate everybody's questions and comments. And Adrienne and Attilio, I have to tell you again, from echoing what Greg said, this was really, I think this is going to be great for the people that are listening, because it's not another system. It's not, another lead gen thing. There's a lot of that stuff, and there's value to that. But this should take the mystery out of really what the top producers and top agents and just top business people focus on, besides just the skills. These are all deliberate things, and I think people can take action even beyond this call with some of the stuff you've given them. So I appreciate that.
This is a life system.
Life system. I like it.
A life system.
That's fantastic.
I got a quote from this guy named Greg Harrelson. He says, real estate's a contact sport.
That's
So
right.
pick up the damn phone and go call people. That's what y'all should be doing.
Yeah. I'm going to give you an amen on that. Amen. All right. Thank you, everybody. This was awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll cross paths soon.
Yes.
Talk to you later.
Thank
Aloha.
you.